The ArmaLite AR-7 Explorer is a semi-automatic .22 long rifle developed from the AR-5 that was adopted by the U.S. Air Force as a pilot and aircrew survival weapon. The AR-7 was designed by American firearms designer Eugene Stoner, who is most associated with the development of the AR-15 rifle that was adopted by the U.S. military as the M16. Its intended markets today are backpackers and other recreational users as a takedown utility rifle. The AR-7 is often recommended by outdoor users of recreational vehicles who might have need for a weapon for foraging or defense in a wilderness emergency. History and design. The prototype of what would become the AR-7 was designed by Eugene Stoner at ArmaLite Incorporated, a division of Fairchild Aircraft. The rifle shares some of the features of the bolt-action AR-5, another rifle designed by Stoner for ArmaLite and adopted by the United States Air Force in 1956 as the MA-1. The MA-1 was intended to replace the M4 survival rifle and the M6 aircrew survival weapon, which was a superimposed twin-barrel rifle shotgun chambered in .22 Hornet and .410 bore, using a break-open action. The AR-5 had the advantage of repeat fire over the then-standard M6, using the same .22 Hornet cartridge. When the AR-5 was adopted as the MA-1 but was not placed in issue due to the numbers of M4 and M6 survival weapons in USAF inventory, ArmaLite used the research and tooling for the AR-5 in developing the AR-7 for the civilian market. The AR-7 uses a blowback semi-automatic action in .22 long rifle but retains the AR-5/MA-1 feature of storing the disassembled parts within the hollow stock, which is filled with plastic foam and capable of floating. Like the bolt-action AR-5, the AR-7 was designed as a survival rifle for foraging small game for food. The AR-7 is constructed primarily of aluminum, with plastic for the stock, butt cap, and recoil spring guide. The bolt is steel. The original barrel was aluminum using a rifle steel liner. Barrels of some production models have used all steel, others have used composite materials. The AR-7 measures 35 inches overall when assembled. It disassembles to 4 sections, with 3 parts storing inside the plastic stock, measuring 16 inches long. The rifle weighs 2.5 pounds, light enough for convenient backpacking. The rear sight is a peep sight, which comes on a flat metal blade with an aperture, and is adjustable for elevation. The front sight is adjustable for windage. Accuracy is sufficient for hunting small game at ranges to 50 yards. Performance reliability of the AR-7 is highly dependent on the condition of the magazine and on the ammunition used, perhaps more so than with other models of semi-automatic .22 caliber rifles. The feed ramp is part of the magazine and subject to damage from mishandling. Flat-nosed bullets tend to jam on the edge of the chamber of the barrel. The transition of cartridge from magazine to barrel can be smoothed by minor beveling of the chamber of the barrel, by using round-nosed as opposed to flat-nosed bullets, and by paying attention to condition of the feed lips and feed ramp of the magazine. Later production magazines include an external wire spring to align the cartridge. Earlier magazines used 2 pinch marks at the top of the magazine body, which in use could become sprung open or worn. All iterations of the AR-7 from the ArmaLite to the Henry U.S. survival rifle use a bolt and dual recoil springs that are heavy compared to most other .22 semi-automatics. The AR-7 requires high-velocity ammunition for reliable functioning. The manufacturers recommend use of 40-grain round-nosed bullets in high-velocity loadings. It is possible to manually load a single round into the firing chamber, allowing use of flat-nosed bullets or low-velocity or subsonic ammunition. The barrel takedown nut tends to loosen during firing and may need hand tightening to maintain both accuracy and reliability. ArmaLite sold the design to Charter Arms in 1973. According to some accounts posted by enthusiasts, this is when quality began to deteriorate. Barrels were said to have a tendency to warp. Other sources state that the first production at Charter had problems which were corrected in later production runs. Production history Summary of information available in the Blue Book of Gun Values, 1959 to 1973, ARMALite, 1973 to 1990, Charter Arms, 1990–1997, Survival Arms, Cocoa, Florida, 1998–2004, AR-7 Industries, LLC, Meriden, Connecticut, 1997–2007, Henry Repeating Arms Company, Brooklyn, New York, 2007 present, Henry Repeating Arms Company, Bayonne, New Jersey. AR-7 variants ArmaLite AR-7 Explorer ArmaLite barrels had a steel liner in an aluminum shell. The ArmaLite stock did not accept the receiver with a magazine in place, and the gun was normally sold with one magazine. The receiver did not provide for a scope mount. The rear sight was a peep aperture, adjustable for elevation. The front sight was drift adjustable for windage. Argentine variant The AR-7 was also manufactured in Argentina as the Sistema de Armas .22 LR Fire de Brenta. It came with various barrel lengths, shrouds and fixed rifle stocks, as well as pistol grips with retractable stocks. Hertz Outdoor Supply Hertz, H.Y. Hunter and American International Distributors marketed .22 replicas of the broom handle Mauser, Thompson submachine gun and M1 carbine made on AR-7 receivers and barrels. Charter Arms AR-7 Explorer The Charter Arms AR-7 Explorer rifle basically replicated the ArmaLite AR-7 Explorer with variations in finish. Charter Arms Explorer 2 pistol Explorer 2 was a pistol version of the AR-7. It resembled a broom handle Mauser. The receiver had a built-in pistol grip with no provision for the rifle stock. The rear sight of the pistol was an open notch adjustable for windage and elevation. The Explorer 2 front sight was integral with the barrel shell and was not adjustable. The magazine well in front of the trigger guard would accept any magazine designed for the rifle. A spare 8-round magazine could be carried inside the grip. The most common barrel was 6 inches. Optional barrel lengths included 8 and 10 inches. Legal note: because the U.S. 1934 NFA regulations set the minimum rifle barrel length at 16 inches, Charter Arms made the barrels of the Explorer I rifle and Explorer 2 pistol non-interchangeable to prevent installing the pistol barrel on the rifle. The AR-7 barrel has an alignment lug that mates a notch in the receiver. The rifle receiver notch and barrel lug are on top. The pistol notch and lug are broader and on the bottom. If a Charter Arms factory-made pistol barrel were installed on a rifle, the extractor on the bolt would be opposite the extractor slot in the barrel, preventing the bolt from closing. Modifying the pistol barrel to fit the rifle, or modifying the rifle receiver to accept the pistol barrel, would be making a short barrel rifle legally requiring federal registration on an ATF Form 1 with payment of a $200 tax. Conversely, after the Supreme Court ruling in United States v. Thompson Center Arms Company, modifying the pistol to accept the rifle barrel and or stock, or modifying the rifle barrel or stock to fit the pistol is legal. Just as long as you do not have the rifle stock attached at the same time as the pistol barrel. It is also legal to have the rifle barrel attached with the pistol grip. AR-7 Industries AR-7 Industries made solid steel barrels much heavier than the AR-7 barrels by ArmaLite, Charter or Henry. Henry Survival Rifle In 1980, the design and production rights passed on to Henry Repeating Arms and the compact rifle was slightly revised. The AR-7 is now known as the Henry U.S. Survival AR-7 rifle. An ABS material replaced the original plastic, which was prone to cracking and failure. The receiver recess in the Henry stock allows storage of receiver with a magazine in place, and the rifle is normally sold with 2 magazines. The latest versions of the Henry allow for storage of 3 magazines total, with 2 in the stock recess, and 1 in the receiver. The modern Henry U.S. Survival rifle is also water-resistant. They now include a full Teflon coating on the outer surface. A 3/8-inch rail milled into the top of the receiver for mounting a wide variety of optics is now a standard. Israeli Pilot Survival Rifle Another variant was made by ArmaLite and sold to the Israeli military for use as pilot aircrew survival weapons. The Israelis further modified these rifles, adding a telescoping stock, a pistol grip from a FAL-type rifle, shortening the barrel, and adding a front sight based on the K98K Mauser. After Israeli service, some of these rifles were re-imported into the U.S. by Brickley Trading Company for sale on the civilian market, and command a premium among collectors. In order to comply with U.S. federal law, a 3-inch muzzle brake had to be permanently attached in order to meet the minimum 16-inch barrel requirement. Operation: the AR-7 functions as a simple all-plain blowback semi-automatic. The AR-7 is a light firearm with heavy bolt and twin recoil springs and must be firmly held for reliable blowback operation. Range safety issue: as is common with many blowback .22 rifles, the AR-7 bolt cannot be locked open to demonstrate the weapon is in a safe unloaded state. Firearms without a built-in bolt hold open device may be banned from use at some ranges. Other firing range operators allow use of an open bolt indicator to prop the bolt open so that the chamber is visible. The yellow plastic flag for CMP range use is recommended, or a spent cartridge case can be used. Aftermarket modifications: the fact that both the barrel and stock are detachable has led to a plethora of aftermarket accessories, similar to those available for the Ruger 10/22. Barrels, stocks, and grips, of varying finishes and utility, can be added to the rifle. These include collapsible stocks, wire-framed stocks, pistol grips, flash suppressors, shrouded barrels, high-capacity magazines, telescopic sights, reflex red dot sights, and other occasionally fanciful-looking hardware, usually at a cost greater than the rifle. Such accessories often make it impossible to use the original floating stock for storage of the modified parts. The current Henry U.S. Survival AR-7 has a 3/8 scope sight rail integral with the receiver to accept standard Weaver-style tip-off rings. For earlier makes, B-Square supplied the Charter Arms AR-7 Explorer scope mount base, an accessory bracket with a 3/8 rail. The base attached by the receiver side plate screw. This base can be used on the ArmaLite and the Charter Arms Explorer rifles and the Charter Arms Explorer 2 pistol. However, with the base in place, the rifle receiver will no longer fit the recess in the stock for storage. Apart from the highly modified AR-7 Israeli survival rifles, most AR-7 models lack provision for a carry sling. AR-7 owners have adapted slings designed for use on guns without modification, such as universal shotgun slings designed to cup the shotgun buttstock at the rear and clamp to the barrel or magazine tube at the front. Given the light weight of the AR-7, a proper length of parachute cord with a slip knot at either end can be used as sling. See also, Prietz Model 65, Marlin Model 70P. References. External links: Henry Repeating Arms webpage for the AR-7/US. Survival Rifle, photos of the AR-7 Survival Rifle, Internet Movie Firearms Database, ArmaLite AR-7 in films, television, and anime.